Okay, listen, women working full-time jobs make 84 cents for every dollar that her male counterpart makes. This is according to 2022 findings from the Pew Research Center.
That's right. There is so much to unpack as we march into Women's Equal Pay Day. And for that, we brought in our next panel of guests. So we will start with Cate Luzo. She is the founder and CEO of Luminary, a membership-based professional education and networking program.
Sandra Campos is a CEO, founder, and co-board director.
Aliya Thomas is an entrepreneur that founded her own styling business 15 years ago before leaving to start a family. She is now re-entering the corporate world, has questions, and I suspect Cate and Sandra have some answers. Women, thank you for joining us.
Hi, good to be back.
So,
What a table this is.
So
I'm loving it.
fantastic. By the way, shout out to Sandra, who, of all the hats you've worn, you were the first Latina CEO of Diane von Furstenberg. That's just, you did a lot of things for us.
Thank you. And continues to do a lot of
And
things.
continues to do a lot of things. By the way, I cold called her and she just answered. And
she cold called me.
and we met in the makeup room. And now we just met you in the hallway.
I love this.
Talk to us about why this disparity exists.
So let's actually just do a couple more stats, right?
Yes.
So that number that you gave, 82, 84, whatever, that is for overall, right? So when you think about Black women, it's 63 cents for every dollar that a white male makes. For Latina women, it's 55 cents. That is a huge number, and what we're seeing is that number is literally inching along. It's not that we have not seen big movement for the last 10 years, even though we're all talking about it.
Wow.
At Luminary, one of the things that we often tell our community, especially, and we've got some members here today, is around advocating for yourself, right? As whether you're an employee, whether you're looking for investor dollars, you've got to advocate for yourself, but you've got to know those numbers. So we've got to be talking about money more. We've got to be talking about what we make. Stop hiding behind it. And it is important that we talk from an employer side.
Right. If you're the boss.
If you are the boss, whether you are, and I think it's more important for men to be doing this, is you have got to be doing a pay audit, annual salary reviews. Where are your women as it relates to your men? We do annual performance reviews every year. We all know that we do comp reviews at the same time. It is not much different.
Right.
And the other thing is salary transparency. It is not a silver bullet. It is not going to change everything overnight, but at least we're getting more numbers, even though they're ranges and they can be pretty vast. But those are some of the ways from the employee and the employer side. And the last thing that I would say is, at Luminary, so much of what we do is sort of investing in you as a person, but also as a company, because we've got our B2B and our B2C business. We have courses and workshops on negotiation, on building your confidence, on communication. All of that helps in this conversation as an employee.
Right.
I mean, they do everything.
They do
Thank you
everything.
for fighting the good
Well,
fight.
because you have to be armed, I think women in
Yes.
particular, you have to be armed with the information. And correct me if I'm wrong, New York State does require companies to post what
Salary
their
salary
transparency,
transparency.
yes.
They're one of, I
It's
think,
new,
about
though.
15
It's new,
states.
exactly.
It came into effect last year,
Right.
but despite a lot of pushback by lots of companies. But listen, a small company like, we're not that small, but small company, you have to do it too.
Thank you. Okay, Sandra, we mentioned your illustrious career. When you were getting started, when you were building your career, was there anything during that time that actually worked in your favor?
Working hard, being curious, making sure that I showed up. I think that's still what I would say today. I work really hard, I learn, I want to constantly be learning. And I think going back to a little bit of what Cate said and also Marisol, number one, you have to know that there's a game. And I hate to call it a game, but there is a game.
Right.
So you have to know that there's a game to begin with. Then you have to learn how to play that game. Right. So whether that's how to negotiate and advocate for yourself, whether that's understanding what the person on the other side of the room is making, what that job is worth, and really understanding how you can actually show up in a way that is visible, that's positive, and also finding those mentors who can help you get into the room no matter what, no matter where you are.
Right.
So it's incumbent upon leaders to make sure that they're doing that.
Right.
And sponsors.
And sponsors. I always say, I had a sponsor who spoke my name in a room that I was not in.
Yeah. On the board front,
right? Because the other thing, and I learned this from you, is that when you decide that you want to join a board for a for-profit company, first of all, you get paid. It's not community service. So you build yourself up so that people in decision-making power say, I want this woman on the board of
Fill in
Nike.
the blank, yeah.
Call me Nike. The importance of working your way up so that you can be on a board. Why is that important, especially so that women have equal pay?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I didn't know I actually wanted to be on a board. It wasn't even anything that was in my stratosphere. I was just working, I was building a career, and I was doing what I wanted to do until somebody came to me, Noreen Gillen, who I'll give her a shout out, because she came to me and invited me to an organization that happens to be focused on getting more Latinos in corporate boards. So that organization is called LCDA. And when I got into that room, for me, somebody who had never been around or surrounded by colleagues that were Latinos or even friends that were Latinos, at that point, I just opened my eyes and was like, what is happening? Who are these people and where have they been? So that journey for me started very easily because I had already been a CEO for 15 years and I was able to get into corporate boards. Public company boards are equal pay, male, female. You make the same amount of money. You make more if you're on a committee, you make more if you're chair of a committee, but public company boards, you do make the same. Private company boards, it's different.
It's very different.
It's different.
Before we get into a whole deep dive of boards, I want to get into
Aliya.
your backstory. So you've been in the workforce, you have a family. What are some of the things that you are noodling in your head as you re-enter? Is it fair to call you an entrepreneur?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, please do.
So what do you worry about?
Yeah, well, when I started my business, it was more so out of necessity and passion. I was doing fashion events, and it just was not conducive to new mom lifestyle. And then once I decided to take some time off, I couldn't afford childcare, so we decided to go from a 2-income household down to 1. And that was 6 years. So what I thought was going to be a year, but and now what I look at in terms of re-entering the workforce, I still want that security and I want to have a job I'm passionate about. But it's tough. There's, my kids are still young, they're tweens, but they still need me at home. It's very important for me to be present in their life. But because I found community and support and resources at Luminary, I can intermingle with other women who are already in corporate, and I'm also in midlife, so making that transition is also new.
What negotiating power does she have? What is she asking for?
So I love this story because Aliya has so many transferable skill sets.
Hold that thought. We got a quick break. We're going to come back to them. I don't care what the producers in the booth say. Sit tight. Thank you for your time today. We will be right back. For Women's Equal Pay Day, this roundtable has been talking about things we need to know. Aliya's re-entering the workforce, and your one tip for her is?
My two tips are, one, we all have transferable skill sets. Whether you've left the workforce, whether you've been an entrepreneur, learn and remember what those transferable skill sets are so that you can apply those to whatever role you're doing. Two is ask for help. Introductions, connections, ask for help. These are 3 women that help each other.
And Sandra, what say you?
Advocate for yourself 100%, especially just going back to the board comment I made before, private boards. I actually called the men on the boards to say, what are you making? Because I want to make sure that we are getting equal payment on this board.
Love
And
this.
that encompasses why we're celebrating today. Here's to more than 84 cents per dollar.
Thank you for watching. We'll be back tomorrow at 10 a.m.